performant busker voice. Hello and welcome to my video. My live viewers are probably getting sick of hearing this because this is my 5th take of this tutorial now. But I think that if you're watching it, you deserve a clean one-shot take of this run. We're going to be running Out There Somewhere Collectibles, all collectibles, without going out of bounds. And I think it's still possible to get a time under 13 minutes with that stipulation. I think the importance of out of bounds to the current optimal route is part of what makes it a daunting category, and I really want to see the category leaderboard grow. We have almost 50 runners of any percent in-game time and only 5 of all collectibles, but it's an amazingly rewarding category. It's not the most race safe, which means that once you can complete a run, you're likely to be competitive with even top runners. So without further ado, I'm going to get going. And so, much like any percent in-game time, we're just going to clear ourselves as quickly as possible in the opening shoot 'em up. You may know that Tile Gamer has pioneered a faster way to die, but it's quite risky for 0.4 of a second of save. The big difference in the opening pass is that we're going to be avoiding checkpoints. This is how my mind works. Did find a way where we can save, warp, and backtrack with any of these first 3 checkpoints and still save time, but I'm going to show you the safe, reliable way that you can make sure that your run is still runnable. We're going to take this lower path, which gives up a couple of seconds for the security of knowing that we have a predictable route. We're going to come up into this room's strange entrance to pick up this abandoned core. We're going to have to do a circle jump. So I'm going to assume that you're at the level where you can execute the tricks I show off in my intermediate tutorial for any percent in-game time. I recommend pushing yourself to get a sub 9 in that category, but I do tend to overestimate the difficulty of this game in general as a speed game, so feel free to prove me wrong. If you want to start with this category without even running any percent in-game time, who knows, you can probably bot me and take world record. So you notice that little shot I did at the beginning of the room specifically to avoid touching a checkpoint. We will eventually have to go up above this room where you see in the upper left hand corner, but for now we can't. This trick here only saves 2 seconds, so don't get too hung up if you can't execute that one. Alright, now here we do have to make a detour to pick up a heart container. And if you've seen some of the top runs in both any percent in-game time and in all collectibles, you know that it's possible to get out of bounds from this screen. We are not going to worry about that in this run. For most of the collectibles, we have to go through the game's opening minute and a half twice, and so it's totally up to your discretion when you collect these things. In the learning phase, I recommend writing down an order and checking from a checklist. I know from experience I've had many runs that I thought were good PBs that it turned out I actually skipped a core, and you don't want to do that. I should be counting out loud how many of the 11 cores we've picked up, but I just forgot to. So you see, most of the tricks I'm executing can be found in the intermediate runs of any percent in-game time. One thing that we're going to skip here is a great opportunity to go out of bounds and jumping over. That's probably the first out of bounds I would learn if you're trying to get a competitive time in all collectibles. It's the single biggest time save in terms of the hours put in versus the reliable time gain. The Lost Mountain out of bounds is harder, saves more time, and there's a route where you do it twice, but it's just so high risk. And I nearly forgot and went after a collectible that we can't actually get yet. I can't touch checkpoints, and there's an unavoidable checkpoint at the bottom of that room. Without going out of bounds, in order to pick up the second alien artifact, I have to make quite a detour here. So you see I'm going backwards 2 screens, and it takes quite a bit of time to cross the screen backwards. So there are major time savings if you can get at that from going out of bounds and jumping over. I can show off an advanced trick here. If you jump at the last second and then fire the frame you enter the screen here, you can skip having to go back down into the junkyard. That's another great thing that you could learn early on. Just be careful when you fail the trick. You have to avoid the checkpoint that's in junkyard. So at this point, I've picked up all of the abandoned cores that are optional on the first path. Basically everything that I've picked up, you could wait until your second time through if you just want to go straight for the Gauss gun. Again, just have a system and make sure you know what you're picking up. So we're in the alien city now. You're probably used to doing that little trick return shot so that you can teleport as soon as you touch the Gauss gun. What we're going to do now instead is pause. And so we're actually skipping the dialog box that tells you you've got the gun. We exit without saving because the game auto-saves when you pick up an item, so it remembers that we have the gun and all the other things we got. And because we didn't touch any checkpoints, we're back in this opening screen so we can get this core. If you touch any checkpoints past the 3rd one in the game, you actually can't get back to this by backtracking. So there's a little bit of metagaming built in order to even be able to 100% this game. Alright. To be honest, I get a little bit of stream ADD and I can't remember whether I picked up the core in Strange Entrance or not. So I'm going to make a potential 6 to 8 second needless detour here to make sure I've already done it. Already done it, sweet. So now we go through this just like an any percent in-game time run. You know, you climb the quickest way you know how. You can use some intermediate and advanced strats if you like, but it's for a gain of, a second and a half, so don't sweat it. This time through, you don't have to worry about touching checkpoints. And in fact, there's one in a second that you need to go out of your way to make sure you do touch. We are about to pick up the upgraded Gauss gun, and it is vital that you get this checkpoint because as soon as we get the upgraded gun, we're going to save warp again. And if you haven't touched that one, you're going to get sent back several screens. If you know how to circle jump, you want to get a max height one right here, and that's going to skip having to cross this screen twice. So you see, I almost fell short there, and I would have had to shoot across the screen 2 more times. So we pause. Now we've got the upgraded gun, we save warp. I happen to put a split there in my timer. You're welcome to do that or not. So now we've got the upgraded gun, we got several of the cores, we got 2 of the artifacts. And again, I'm just going to, because I'm absent-minded, okay, it looks like I got this core. But if you hadn't yet, you would be more than welcome to come back for it at this point in the run. Hey, what's up, Kobe? I'm recording a tutorial of all collectibles, like beginner-friendly, without going out of bounds. If you can do some of the minor tricks, like here I'll show off one, for example, like boost jumps like this, then you can easily get sub 13 in this category, and because of all the crazy things that happen in no resets, even though I have a sub 11, I can't ever guarantee a sub 13, so I'm just showing off ways to make this possible. Alright, so this time we don't have to worry about that core, so we just go straight through. I did forget to talk about the sort of shenanigans that I pulled when I picked up that core, and I just messed up there. We do actually have to jump from here to be able to get the height here. I'm going to show off one attempt at a little bit of an advanced technique here. We stand here, we fire the shot and crank down left. You can actually touch that core and then have your return shot ready before the dialogue appears, and that saves some time, but it's a save of a few seconds, so that's another thing to not get too hung up over. If you just want to get the core in the obvious intended way, it's really no great loss at this point in your speedrunning career. So we're going to do a little boosted jump to clear this bridge, and we have to jump and we have to take the top way again. There are no collectibles in the Tree Man's domain, so we always want to take the shortcut to the alien city. Alright, so at this point we have, I believe, 5, if not 6 of the abandoned cores, 2 of the 3 ancient alien artifacts, and our upgraded gun. We have to go up above the city for 1 more core. Maybe this does put us at 8, because I think this is the last one until the one in the tower. Okay, so I think this is the 8th core. So you should have 8 at this point. By the way, if you're a live split user, Tomadin has created for us an auto splitter you can use to verify some of these things. Alright, so I got lucky there and got a dialogue skip. You noticed I jumped, so I touched just the very upper left corner of the hitbox for that heart container, and that meant that I died to the lava before the dialogue box appeared that told me that I had a heart container. As long as you make sure to actually get the heart container, it's 0 risk to try that trick, so you can start going for it early in your runs if you'd like. The next minute or so is going to look exactly like your any percent in-game time runs, and in fact, it gets slightly easier. When we upgraded our Gauss gun, we got a faster firing rate that also applies to our teleshots, so in the room where you've had to learn this advanced green beam jump, it's not even a time save unless you get it 100% consistently on the first try. So you see, I just blazed right through there with that faster firing rate. Those 2 rooms became downright easy. Monster Madness is the same as it's always been, same with Mirror Wall. Thank you, chat, for keeping each other occupied while I'm rambling about basic out there somewhere techniques. Alright, we're reaching the close of the part that looks exactly like any percent in-game time, and now we're going to have to do the tower climb, and we do a slight difference to make sure we get a core. So from this beginning part, I still do this the same way, and if you want, you have a faster firing rate now, so it's not even a great time loss to kill the guard. You just hold down the shoot button, and the firing rate is so quick, he's gone in about 3/4 of a second. I'm going to show off again the technique with circle jumping here, but even if you don't do that, use the technique you're comfortable with. Everything I'm doing now is small time saves at a time. So we do actually have to take the outside path here, but not jump. We drop straight down, and this should be core number 9 in the standard run of this game. If you choose to jump here, there's a little advanced trick shot you can go for in this screen. You fall just over a tile, and you're supposed to hit that elevator and keep holding right to cross under it. It doesn't actually save time to jump off of that platform unless you get that trick. So these 2 rooms, you can use the background tiles to line up your shots, but again, they're optional trick shots. They're not vital to getting a good time in the run. If I sound like a broken record, it's because most of the tricks in this run, since they apply to single screens at a time, are just cumulative 1 to 2 second time savers that add up. You know, you start with a baseline and you add one trick at a time. As always, we want to talk to the guard here and have our return shot ready. He opens the gate. I'm going to show off a chain jump shot you can try. This is absolutely zero risk to fail, so it's always worth going for once you know how to do it. And you save, 2 to 3 seconds for getting it. So it's nice. All right, we're going to come down into the basement, and we actually have to go out of our way for a core here. I believe it's faster to get the core on the way in rather than on the way out, but I don't know that for sure. So I got my return shot ready, and this is on cycles. So when I see the elevator drop, I jump and I wait till I'm kind of falling to fire the shot so that I can jump as soon as the shot hits the wall and catch the better cycle. So we shoot, we hold the shoot button, we talk to this guard, and we have our death warp set up. Hey, Pretzel. So Pretzel, who just appeared on the screen, is our community founder on Steam, or for the Steam version of the speedrunning. So as you know, beating that cycle is actually quite difficult. Don't worry if you don't, it's only 3 seconds. I'm going to show off a dialogue skip that you can try. Again, this was discovered by This Is How My Mind Works. So we touch that checkpoint on purpose before doubling back. You can get up to a core. This is the 11th core in this room. So you saw, I fired the shot and then I touched the core right before it hit the wall. That let me leave the room before the dialogue box congratulating me for getting a core. All right, the last big difference that I really have to point out is we're climbing this room, which you don't see in any percent in-game time at all. And we want to hold shoot because that lets us talk to him at the soonest possible moment. When I exit here to save warp, I have to save and exit. The game autosaves when you touch items, but not when you talk to that dude. So you won't have your upgraded ship unless you save and exit. All right, with the upgraded gun, this last part of the run becomes somewhat of a joke. And if I remember my time conversions correctly, sub 13 is still possible. So we're going to just wait, take him out, no issues. I even fired extra shots, didn't lose much time. As you know, you can do sort of a green beam jump here to clear that lava. I'm not going to show off damage boosting for now, so we're going to wait for this ghost to get out of our way. Damage boosting is, I still think, kind of the final frontier in terms of tricks that aren't out of bounds but are quite advanced. So just avoid that ghost in the way you know how. If you've learned damage boosting, of course do it, but check out how fast this is now, even without it. So he's gone, so we can just climb onto his ledge. We didn't lose nearly as much time as you do in any percent in-game time. I still recommend, if you can green beam jump, going for it in this room. Just in case you can't, here's what you're supposed to do. With the faster firing rate on your teleport gun, you lose a lot less time than you do in any percent in-game time. Well, not a lot less, but noticeably less. So in this room, again, we're going to benefit from our faster fire rate. We can take out this brute with no problem, and his shots only do 2 damage. Just in case, I'm going to assume you know triple cross skip, because again, this is based on you being at an intermediate level in any percent in-game time. So we're climbing. Okay, sub 13, it looks like we're just going to miss, but I did not have a perfect run with these strats. And as you saw, I left out a few advanced things that you're probably going to be capable of. Alright, so we talked to Grigori, and at this point, the boss, with good rhythm, he's a joke in any percent in game time. You just hold fire, so he's a joke no matter what you do in this category. He is taken care of. And so I still don't really have a perfect rhythm there. You just kind of switch when you feel like you've got 3 shots that are going to hit him. Again, you want to fire your shot across the room before you get the light orb so you can be already there when the dialogue appears. So now we're going to try our final climb here. And because we talked to the trader, we're going to have this crazy spray coming out of our ship. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, and he gone. 1253 with substantial mistakes. No out of bounds whatsoever, which requires significant backtracking. All the strats in this run, as you know, are pretty reliable, can be set up once you've got them under your fingers. You don't run the risk of losing them. I do hope somebody finds this as inspiration to learn all collectibles because it is an immensely rewarding category. The slight amount of extra exploration really breathes new life into this game as a speed game. That plus with more active runners comes more races, more trick discovery, more competition, just more fun. So I hope someone found that informative or entertaining, or at the very least, even if you can't laugh with me, laugh at me. Thank you.